Morning all, and we have got 8 games on tonight. It is Friday. Also, as a side note, I will not be able to see all of the hockey tonight because we are going to a 3 Days Grace concert tonight here in Abbey. So there you go. And I'll be able to see some of it, definitely some of the early stuff, but that also means that tonight's review video will likely be a little bit later than normal. Concerts seem to take a long time now, so I'm guessing for 6 hours or something like that. That seems to be the general going rate these days. Boston's in against Pittsburgh, and this game makes me a little bit nervous as a Bruins fan, even though the Bruins are playing very well right now. They're 17-10-4. Pittsburgh is 13-11-6, and we're anticipating Pittsburgh being back in the playoffs because that's what we anticipate every year. And yet, they've had their stops and starts over the last week and a half. And you have to ask yourself, at what point do we say maybe they should make a big change? Maybe it is time for a big move, and we'll see what they do if and when that happens. On the Boston side, your leading scorers: David Pastrnak, 21 goals, 17 assists; Marchand, 10 goals, 22 assists; Bergeron, 9 goals, 17 assists; Krejci, 4 goals, 22 assists; Krug, 2 goals, 15 assists; DeBrusk, 10 goals, 2 assists; Grzelcyk, 1 goal, 8 assists; Heinen, 4 goals, 4 assists; Backes, 3 goals, 3 assists; McAvoy, 1 goal and 5 assists for him to round out the scoring for Boston. On the Pittsburgh side of things, Kessel, 12 goals, 21 assists; Malkin, 10 goals, 23 assists, and he's been really cold lately. I don't know what's going on there. Crosby, 15 goals, 17 assists; Gensel, 12 goals, 14 assists; Letang, 7 goals, 17 assists; Hornquist, 12 goals, 7 assists for him; Simone, 4 goals, 9 assists; Alexiak, 4 goals, 7 assists; Rust now shows up on the board at 4 goals and 6 assists; and Broussard, 4 goals, 5 assists. Goaltending, I haven't looked to see who's been confirmed and who hasn't, so let's go ahead and just speculate. I would think Halak tonight. Rask started the last game. Rask's 8-6-2, 2.53 goals against, 916 save percentage. Halak is 9-4-2 with a 2.3 goals against, 930 save percentage. On the Pittsburgh side, if Murray's good to go, I'd probably throw him in here. DeSmith is 9-5-4 with a 2.43 goals against, 921 save percentage. Murray's 4-5-1 with a 4.08 goals against and an 877 save percentage. And all those numbers are bad, meaning that if he played tonight, he'd probably be improving those numbers. It's just one of those things that I get nervous about, Boston and Pittsburgh. Even though Boston swept them in the playoffs not that long ago. 6-4 over their last 10 are the Bruins. They've won 3 in a row. Pittsburgh's 5-3-2. They lost their last game. On the road, Boston 6-7-4. At home, Pittsburgh 7-6-2. So Boston definitely prefers home cooking to the road. Versus the East, Boston is 12-6-3. Versus the East, Pittsburgh is 5-9-5. But that record's been seemingly getting better over the last couple of weeks. Of course, Boston's the number 1 wild card. They are 1 point ahead of the Montreal Canadiens. The Pittsburgh Penguins are tied for number 3 in the Metro with the New York Islanders. But regulation and overtime wins, which is a tiebreaker, they have 12, and the Islanders have 13. But for points, they're in the same spot. They've played the same amount of games. So if they can win this game tonight, that goes a long way towards maybe assuring themselves third spot. Next up, in a battle of teams that we have to ask ourselves, is it too early to write either one off? It's the Ottawa Senators at 13-15-4, who are probably against Detroit, who are 14-14-4, and they're flirting with it. We'll get to that. On the Ottawa side of things, of course, injuries have been a factor recently. Brady Tkachuk, scoring-wise, has kind of gone cold over the last couple of weeks. The nice thing with Tkachuk is he has so many different aspects to his game that even when he's not scoring, he's still a useful player for you on the ice. He's been pretty fantastic all around for Ottawa. Definitely a keeper. And there's no guarantee if they had given away that draft pick to Colorado to keep this year's that they would have drafted Hughes. Just imagine if they'd given away the number 4 draft pick, and then this year they drafted 6th or 7th in a draft that's kind of seen as weaker. That's not going to work. Your leading scorer for Ottawa is still Stone with 15 goals, 20 assists. Duchesne, 12 goals, 22 assists. Chabot, 8 goals, 25 assists. Dzingel, 12 goals, 10 assists. Tierney, 3 goals, 17 assists. White, 8 goals, 11 assists. Ryan, 6 goals, 12 assists. Bodker, 3 goals, 14 assists. There's Tkachuk with 9 goals, 7 assists. And Zach Smith, 5 goals, 8 assists. On the Detroit side of things, Larkin, 13 goals, 17 assists. Nyquist, 8 goals, 21 assists. Athanasiou, 11 goals, 8 assists for him. Nielsen, 4 goals, 15 assists now. Bertuzzi, 9 goals, 7 assists. Green, 3 goals, 13 assists. Mantha, 9 goals, 5 assists. Cholowski, 5 goals, 8 assists. Abdelkader, 5 goals, 6 assists. And Thomas Vanek rounds out the top 10 with 3 goals and 8 assists. Goaltenders, I expect Anderson here. McKenna's 1-1-1 with a 3.98 goals against, 8.99 save percentage. Anderson's 12-12-3 with a 3.56 goals against, 907 save percentage. On the Detroit side, it should be Howard. Bernier's now 4-8 with a 3.66 goals against, 884 save percentage. So Bernier's numbers are getting worse. Howard 10-6-4, 2.67 goals against, 923 save percentage. Over their last 10, Ottawa's 4-5-1. They've lost 2 in a row. Detroit is 4-4-2, and they lost their last game. On the road, Ottawa is a woeful 3-10-1, which is why I would give the edge to Detroit in this one. Detroit's 8-7-3 at home. Versus the East, Ottawa's 10-9-2. Versus the East, Detroit is 9-10-3. So they're close. Ottawa's 7 points out of the playoffs. Detroit is 5 points out of the playoffs. And because they're in the Atlantic Division, they're both chasing that number 2 wildcard spot, which is further away than would be the number 3 spot in the Central, or the Metro. So somebody's going to get closer to Montreal with a win tonight, but honestly, like I said, I'm favoring Detroit, but it's kind of it's a tough game to call. It's not a somebody has to win game because they've both got almost 500 records over the last 10, depending on whether or not you count overtime and shootout losses as losses. Detroit is 4-4-2, which is 500, and Ottawa's 4-5-1, which is one below. But still, neither team has been able to get a really consistent run going, which is why they find themselves sitting outside a playoff spot. That being said, let us move on. Philly, the Flyers, they're in against the Oilers tonight. The Oilers should feel pretty good about themselves right now. Their record since Ken Hitchcock took over is excellent. And the record for the Flyers recently is not excellent. So the Flyers are coming off of a rough loss against the Flames. The Oilers are coming off of an encouraging loss to Winnipeg, if that's a thing. And on the Philadelphia side of things, Claude Giroux leads the scoring with 11 goals, 27 assists. He is far and away ahead of Voracek. 8 goals, 16 assists. Couturier, 12 goals, 11 assists. Konechny, 9 goals, 10 assists. Simmons, 10 goals and 4 assists. Gosper is sitting with 3 goals and 10 assists. Lawton, 6 goals, 5 assists. Lindblom, 4 goals, 7 assists. Haig, 3 goals, 8 assists for him. And Provorov rounds out the scoring with 3 goals and 8 assists as well. On the Oilers side of things, McDavid, 17 goals, 28 assists. Draisaitl, 16 goals, 23 assists. Nugent-Hopkins, 10 goals, 20 assists. Chason, 13 goals, 4 assists. Clefbaum, 3 goals, 12 assists. Darnell Nurse, 5 goals, 7 assists. Kara, 2 goals, 9 assists. Kajula, 7 goals, 3 assists. Larson, 9 assists. And Russell rounds out the top 10 with 1 goal and 7 assists. Goaltending. I have no idea what's going to happen with the goaltending tonight. Elliott, 6-7, 2.59 goals against, 911 save percentage. Stolarz, 1 win, 2 losses, 3.8 goals against, 889 save percentage. That meltdown against Calgary really didn't help his numbers. Neuwirth, 0-2, 6.17 goals against, 719 save percentage. Yeah, that's not good. On the Edmonton side, I expect Koskinen, because Talbot played last night. Talbot 7-9-2, 3.22 goals against, 894 save percentage. Koskinen 10-3-1, 2.2 goals against, 927 save percentage. Over their last 10, Philadelphia's 3-4-3. They've lost 2 in a row. And Edmonton 7-2-1. They lost last night, of course, in Winnipeg. On the road, Philadelphia 7-6-2 at home. Edmonton's 9-4-1. Definitely a decent team at home. I can remember a time where Edmonton was not decent at home. I think that was last year, and now they're playing pretty well. Versus the West, Philadelphia is 6-5-2 versus the East. Edmonton's 5-5-1. So they've improved the record in many ways. Now it's time to improve the record against the other conference. Flyers find themselves 4 points behind third in the Metro. So again, this is that difference right here. You look, and Detroit has 2 more points than Philly, but Detroit's further out of the playoffs than Philly because of which division they play in. And, of course, right now Edmonton is the number 1 wild card. And they have a game in hand on the Vegas Golden Knights. So it is impressive to see how Edmonton is right now. If the playoffs started today, they're in. Yeah. After everybody wrote them off, they'd be in the playoffs right now. Winnipeg. So the Jets come off of that win last night against the Oilers, and now they're going into Chicago. Now, Chicago has won their last game, and Chicago's going to be looking to pick up some momentum of some sort. And it'll be interesting to see whether or not that can happen. And I'm not saying that to be sarcastic. It's just Chicago has been so riddled with bad luck. All that puck luck they had along the way to those 3 Stanley Cups just seems to have left them this year. The Winnipeg Jets are 29-2. Chicago's 10-18-5. Scorers. Wheeler leads the way for Winnipeg with 5 goals, 35 assists. Scheifele has the same amount of points and more goals. 18 goals, 22 assists. Line A, 22 goals, 6 assists. Connor, 13 goals, 15 assists. Bufflin, 3 goals, 20 assists. Ehlers, 10 goals, 11 assists. Little, 6 goals, 11 assists. Morrissey, 4 goals, 13 assists. Trouba, 3 goals, 12 assists. And Brandon Tanev with 6 goals and 6 assists rounds out the top 10. Tanev's been playing pretty well this season, honestly. I still, he's a guy that I really wish Vancouver would have signed. I really do. On the Chicago side of things, Kane, 15 goals and 22 assists. He is the leading scorer for them by a lot. Taves, 14 goals, 13 assists. DeBrincat, 13 goals, 12 assists. Saad, 9 goals, 9 assists. Anisimov, 6 goals, 9 assists. Seabrook, 4 goals, 10 assists for him. Duncan Keith has 14 assists. Gustafsson, 5 goals, 8 assists. Cahoon, 4 goals, 9 assists. And Dylan Strome rounds out the top 10 with 7 goals and 4 assists. Goaltenders, I expect Brossoit here. Brossoit 6-1-1 with a 2.27 goals against, 932 save percentage. Hellebuck 14-8-1 with a 2.85 goals against, 908 save percentage. And for Chicago, I expect Crawford, because why not? He's 6-14-1, 3.2 goals against, 903 save percentage. Cam Ward 4-4-4 with a 4 goals against average and 885 save percentage. Why couldn't he have a 4 in his save percentage? So rude. So inconsiderate. But yeah. So really, Chicago, at this point, it is a playing for pride thing because the playoffs are such a distant improbability. In their last 10, it's opposite day. The Winnipeg Jets are 8-2. Chicago's 2-8. Winnipeg's won their last 3, and Chicago won their last game. On the road, Winnipeg is 8-5. At home, Chicago is 6-6-3 versus the West. Winnipeg is 11-5-1 versus the West. Chicago's 5-12-3. I never thought I'd see the day that happened. They're number 2 in the Central are those Jets. They're 1 point behind Nashville. They're 3 points ahead of Colorado, so it's very tightly bunched in those top 3. Chicago's 12 points out of the playoffs. And as I've said before, if you're 10 points or more out of the playoffs, the odds of you getting there are really, really, really slim. And for Chicago, even though they're Chicago and a lot of us wait for them to wake up, I think this might be a year where that's just not going to happen. Now I'm going to go ahead and change boards. All right, next up, Arizona. And now they're going into New York against the Rangers. Yeah, this is not a good turn for the Arizona Coyotes. They're now on this losing streak. It's getting worse. They're losing all their games in regulation, which is even worse than that. And now they're in against the New York Rangers, who don't have a great record over their last 10, but they're pretty solid at home. The Arizona Coyotes now are 13-15-2. The New York Rangers 14, 13, and 3. And for Arizona, dreams of playoffs probably dead already. For the New York Rangers, nope. That Metro spot, I tell you, that number 3 spot, that's it's strange how many teams are really close on that spot, and the Rangers, no exception. Your leading scorers for the Arizona Coyotes: Clayton Keller, 8 goals, 13 assists. Schmaltz, 6 goals, 12 assists. Ekman Larson, 2 goals, 14 assists. Stepan, 6 goals, 7 assists. Richardson, 8 goals, 4 assists. Hinostroza, 4 goals, 8 assists. Grabner, 6 goals, 5 assists. Galchenyuk, 3 goals, 8 assists. Goligoski, 2 goals, 9 assists. And Richard Panik, 6 goals, 4 assists to round out the top 10 scoring for Arizona. On the Rangers side of things, Zibanejad, 9 goals, 17 assists. Chris Kreider, 14 goals, 8 assists. Hayes, 7 goals, 14 assists now. Hayes is playing pretty darn well lately. VC, 9 goals, 7 assists. Pionk, 4 goals, 12 assists. Brett Howden, 4 goals, 9 assists. Fast, 3 goals, 8 assists. Nemesnikov also has 3 goals and 8 assists. Hedel, 5 goals, 5 assists. And Zuccarello rounds up the top 10 with 3 goals and 7 assists. Goaltenders. I expect Hill because Kemper played last night. Hill's 4-2, 1.62 goals against, 939 save percentage. Kemper, 4-7-2 with a 2.85 goals against, 909 save percentage. On the Rangers side, Lundqvist, because why not? Georgiev's 4-4 with a 3.37 goals against, 899 save percentage. Lundqvist, 10-9-3, 2.78 goals against, 916 save percentage. Over their last 10, Arizona's 4-6, lost 4 in a row. Again, all in regulation. The New York Rangers 4-5-1. They lost their last game. So of the two, Rangers are slightly better over their last 10. Away from home now, Arizona's 7-7-1, and at home the Rangers are an impressive 10-4-1. So this really, all the numbers seem to favor the Rangers, including this. Against the East, Arizona's 5-8-1 versus the West. The Rangers are 6-5-1. Arizona's 9 points out of the playoffs. The Rangers are 1 point out of third in the Metro. So yeah, it's a crazy tight-knit bunch there, with the exception of New Jersey, and yet we'll get to them, and they're not as far out as you might think, considering their awful record. So this is a big game for the Rangers, and Arizona's just look kind of, I don't know, their body language, everything. It just seems they're very frustrated right now. They don't look like a very happy team, and they don't seem to have that swagger they had early in the year after that losing streak. They knew they were playing well during that losing streak at the start of the year, and they stuck with it. And then when they started winning, there was some swagger there. There was some genuine, yeah, we can compete. And that just seems to have been gone out of their last few games. So we'll see if they can get that back. Next up, Vegas. These guys. They're in against the New Jersey Devils. Vegas is 18-14-1. Very impressive run put together by the Vegas Golden Knights over the last approximately 20 games. The New Jersey Devils 10-13-6. Not out of the playoffs. They've won 10 out of 29 games, and yet you look at it and you go, yeah, no, they're still not out of it. It's Metro. They're still not out of it. Far worse record than Arizona, who are 9 points out. But you look at New Jersey and look at the division, you go, they're not completely out of it. Vegas, Marchessault leads their scoring with 12 goals, 12 assists. Carlson, 11 goals, 13 assists. Tuck, 10 goals, 12 assists. Smith now has 6 goals, 16 assists, so 22 points. He's putting it together. Eakin, 11 goals, 8 assists. Pacioretty, 10 goals, 8 assists. Theodore, 4 goals, 14 assists. Miller, 2 goals, 13 assists. Reeves, 6 goals, 4 assists. And Belmar still is on the top 10 with 4 goals and 4 assists. New Jersey, Hall leads the way with 8 goals, 23 assists. Palmieri, 16 goals, 11 assists. Heischer, 6 goals, 13 assists. Severson, 4 goals, 14 assists. Zajac, 9 goals, 8 assists. Coleman, 9 goals, 7 assists. Johansson, 6 goals, 6 assists. Vatanen, 1 goal, 11 assists. Jesper Bratt, 2 goals, 9 assists. And Brian Boyle with 8 goals, 2 assists. I expect Fleury. Fleury's 18-10-1 with a 2.49 goals against, 909 save percentage. I expect Fleury because Subban is 0-4, 4.02 goals against, 859 save percentage. We haven't seen him in a while. On the New Jersey side, I expect Kincaid because Schneider 0-5-1, 4.29 goals against, 862 save percentage. And for Kincaid, 10-8-5 record, 3.03 goals against, 903 save percentage. I think Schneider and Subban would be a fun matchup. That'd be interesting. Somebody's got to win, right? Somebody's got to stop the goose egg. It would just end up one of them gets pulled, and then the backup that comes in to play, whether it was Kincaid or Fleury, would get the win. That's just how that would work out. Over their last 10, it's quite a different tale here. Vegas is 8-2. They've won their last 2 in a row. New Jersey's 2-4-4. They've lost 2 in a row. On the road, Vegas is 8-11. And again, I've been mentioning this, that doesn't look great, but the road record is getting a lot better. At home, New Jersey's 7-2-4. New Jersey plays better at home than they do on the road, but that home record, those 4 overtime or shootout losses, they really stand out. Versus the East, Vegas is 7-8. Versus the West, New Jersey is 4-3-3. The Vegas Golden Knights right now are the second wild card. The only reason is the number 2 wild card and Edmonton's number 1. Edmonton's played the one last game. And they're 1 point ahead of Minnesota. So Minnesota is still in this based on the two wins they've had recently. And Vegas is only 1 point ahead of them. As for New Jersey, not only being 4-3-3 against the West, which is okay, I guess, but that's still you win 4 out of 10. So they're 6 points out of the playoffs again because they're in the Metro. So as hard as it may seem to grasp, yeah, they're only 6 points back. Few wins in a row, losses by teams ahead of them. Suddenly you're like, oh, they're only 2 out. So New Jersey is not in a position to throw in the towel. As hard as it is to see through this, if you're a Devils fan, it's not over yet. It really isn't. While it may feel like it is, it really isn't. Next up, Washington Capitals 18-9-3. I was going to say 18-19-3 and caught myself. 18-9-3. They're in against the Carolina Hurricanes, who are 13-13-4, and coming off of a rough loss against the Montreal Canadiens last night. So they had problems preventing goals against, and now they get Washington, one of the most lethal teams offensively in the entire National Hockey League. That's not a great matchup for Carolina tonight, but I'll hold back on saying Washington's going to win because, again, that's why they play the games. Ovechkin leads Washington in scoring, which shouldn't surprise anybody who's been watching him lately. 25 goals, 14 assists. Backstrom, 10 goals, 28 assists. Carlson, 5 goals, 27 assists. Kuznetsov, 7 goals, 22 assists. Connolly, 6 goals, 13 assists. Jacob Vrana, 9 goals, 9 assists. Oshie, 10 goals, 5 assists. Wilson, 8 goals, 6 assists. Eller and Niskanen both have 4 goals and 10 assists to round out the top scorers for the Washington Capitals. On the Carolina side of things, Sebastian Aho, 9 goals, 20 assists. Teravainen, 5 goals, 16 assists. Williams, 6 goals, 11 assists. Furland, 11 goals, 4 assists, who I understand there are concerns about how effective he's going to be when he's going to play. And concussions are like that. You might feel fine one day and then not fine the next. Svechnikov, 8 goals, 7 assists. He may finally be showing what we thought he would in his rookie year. If Svechnikov can bury the puck a few more times tonight like he did last night against Montreal, they have a growing concern. He may be the one really pure goal scorer that they have if he realizes that potential now. You don't want to put that pressure on the kid, though. And I don't get the feeling that Rod Brind'Amour is going to put that pressure on him. Wallmark, 2 goals, 10 assists. He had been stuck on 9 assists for a long time, so Wallmark gets to double digits. Yes. Stahl, 5 goals, 6 assists. Slavin, 3 goals, 8 assists. Martinuk, 7 goals, 3 assists. And Dougie Hamilton still with 3 goals, 7 assists. Goaltending. I expect Holtby, but Copley's there with a 6-2-1 record, 2.95 goals against, 902 save percentage. Holtby, 12-7-2, 2.81 goals against, 913 save percentage. Mrazek played last night, so if Darling's going to play anywhere before he goes back down to the minors, it might be here. McElhinney, trusting that he's still on the injured list anyways, 7-3-1, 2.36 goals against, 919 save percentage. Darling, 2-4-1, 3.14 goals against, 892 save percentage. And Mrazek, after last night, 4-6-2, 2.77 goals against, 892 save percentage. So just ouch all around on those numbers. Over their last 10, the Capitals are 8-2. They've won 3 in a row. For over their last 10, Carolina's 4-5-1. and they lost their last 2. So it's interesting that over their last 10, both Vegas and Washington are starting to round into playoff form already. Road record for Washington is 9-5-1. The home record for Carolina is 7-5-3. Versus the East, the Capitals are 10-4-2. Versus the East, Carolina is now 7-7-2 after the loss against Montreal last night. Of course, Washington's number 1 in the Metropolitan Division. They're 3 points ahead of Columbus. The Carolina Hurricanes, who we've been talking about, and their woes, they're 2 points out of the playoffs behind the number 3 team in the Metro. Like I said, nobody's out of this. There's nobody in the Metro. You're like, oh yeah, they're done, because it's strange. And I know this is going to change. It changed last year. Last year, I think there were 8 points separating first from last for a long portion of last year, and then the last 30 games of the year, that all completely changed. But yeah, these teams stay tightly bunched together for most of the season. And Washington's going to look to stretch things out a bit by taking a bite out of these Hurricanes. That being said, let us move on to the last game on the board. So you made it. Colorado, 17-9-5, and they're in against the 11-4-4 St. Louis Blues. And of course, Colorado tomorrow night will play at home against Dallas. But Colorado tonight, 17-9-5. They look to put that excellent record on the line against a St. Louis team. There's got to be some pride here for St. Louis. Look, this is the team that ended their season at game 82 and didn't allow them into the playoffs last year. If there's any game that St. Louis should get up for and try to ruin another team's happy day around this time of year, it should be Colorado. They really should. So I would look for at least a close game. I'm not calling for a win from St. Louis, just at least a close game. Rantanen leads the way in scoring for Colorado, of course, because he leads the league. 13 goals, 39 assists. McKinnon, 20 goals, 27 assists. Landeskog, 19 goals, 19 assists. Barry, 4 goals, 18 assists. Soderberg, 10 goals, 11 assists. Kerfoot, 4 goals, 14 assists. Wilson, 8 goals, 4 assists. Gerard, 2 goals, 10 assists. Jost, 4 goals, 6 assists. And JT Compher is still in the top 10 with 7 goals and 2 assists. St. Louis, O'Reilly, 12 goals, 17 assists. Tarasenko, 9 goals, 11 assists. Perron, 10 goals and 8 assists. Shen, 7 goals, 11 assists. Steen, 6 goals, 6 assists. Pietrangelo, 4 goals and 7 assists for him. Bozak and Dunn both have 3 goals and 8 assists. Schwartz, 2 goals, 9 assists. And Sanford, 4 goals and 5 assists. Goaltenders, I expect Grubauer here. I would expect Varlamov tomorrow night. Grubauer 7-2-2, 3.16 goals against, 900 save percentage. Varlamov 10-7-3, 2.71 goals against, 916 save percentage. And then on the St. Louis side, I expect Allen, because I don't know, when do you put Binnington in? Do you put Binnington in here? They're going to have to give him a shot. They kind of have to. You can't ride Allen from here. There are St. Louis fans that would rather Allen wasn't the starter, much less playing every night. Allen's 9-8-4, 3.11 goals against, 899 save percentage. I have Johnson on there. He hasn't played a game for Anaheim yet, and he's still the only other goalie of record for St. Louis. 2-6, 3.55 goals against, 884 save percentage. As soon as he's played his first game for Anaheim, I'll take him off the St. Louis chart. As soon as Binnington's played a game for St. Louis, I'll take Johnson off. Over their last 10, Colorado's 6-3-1. They've lost 2 in a row. St. Louis is 4-5-1. They've won their last game. And Colorado should come into this game angry based on their last 2 losses. There's got to be some pride kicking in, and they've got to realize, hey, we've got a chance to really do something this year. We can't afford to let that slip away. On the road, Colorado's fantastic. They're 11-6-2. At home, St. Louis is 7-8-2. Versus the West, Colorado's 7-5-3. Versus the West, St. Louis is 8-11-4. Of course, Colorado is number 3 in the Central. They're 3 points behind Winnipeg. And the St. Louis Blues are 11 points out of the playoffs. It is not about playoffs at this point for the St. Louis Blues. It is all about pride. And let's see how much we've got in St. Louis tonight between these two teams. And again, if Colorado does not win this game in St. Louis, I guess we can officially qualify them as slumping, because this is a game that they should win. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video, and thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.